Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a video on the behind the scenes so far to part 5 of Antimatter. That's it, that's another one in the bag. Another one in the bag, as they say. Yeah, very interesting. I'll be honest, usually with the last part of a however many part story, 4, 5, or well, 5 in this case, but also a 6-part story. I'm not gonna lie, I always find wrapping up the story and or getting the Doctor out of the scenario the most difficult thing, and that, probably shows in a lot of my, well, I was gonna say my writing. I don't really write these, but yeah, as much as I just sort of have a bit of an idea in my head sometimes of story beats and story ideas, and sometimes I write them down, sometimes I do scripts, and I'll write stuff down, some dialogue down sometimes. But yeah, because I was like, how the hell do I get the Doctor out of the situation with the Weeping Angels? Well, the Doctor being our Doctor, and that not the first Doctor. So the only thing I could think of is literally the extermination firepower from like a Dalek. Because in my head I've got like this epic like thing of this one Dalek shooting them, and then like, as I say, like rock just like smashing about the place and that. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I also think, like, just generally, like, doing the figure adventures that I do in the sort of style of the classic series has its strengths and has its weaknesses. I feel like I get the opportunity to sort of flesh out my ideas, but then also, by the same token, much like with the classic series, I kind of feel like sometimes the first and the last part are usually the bits that have the most in them. And that usually, if there is padding, it will be usually parts like 3 and 4, 2 and 3, and then part 1 and 4 will be like for lack of a better term, the epic bits and that, or the best bits, So at that point, you could argue, like, why don't you just chop it down to just a 2-part story, or 2-part episode even. Also, you've got the awesome new TARDIS exterior box, the 13th Doctor one, and that, like, I've changed it finally from just using the David Tennant and Matt Smith box, and that, I mean, I've got 2 other boxes up there on the shelves. I've got the 4th Doctor one from Robot, as well as the 4th Doctor one from Sharda. And then at the top I usually have the 13th Doctor one, because there's nowhere else to put the 13th Doctor TARDIS exterior. So yeah, kind of sad though that it's already got a bit of dust on the top, really, of the box already, even though it's not that old, and I reviewed it on the channel. So if you want to check that out, please feel free to do so. But yeah, I think I teased this earlier in the story, to be fair, and that this box would be part of the series, as it were. And then yeah, like the first Doctor just sort of fades out of existence, and that, and yeah, I was very nervous as to use the Daleks in this part, mainly just because, I don't know, I just didn't want to use them because they are overused in the new series as is, and I like the idea of having the Weeping Angels as a cameo, and then having it be a bit of a, like, sort of Fugitive of the Jadoon type episode where the first Doctor just appears out of nowhere. Not to say that obviously Ruth Doctor's the first Doctor, but you get what I mean. The antimatter creature, for those of you who don't already know this or don't play Minecraft, is, funnily enough, just a Enderman action figure from the Minecraft action figure series of action figures they did for that game, which I think's kind of funny, because in my head, as soon as I saw it, I was like, whoa, I have kind of an idea for this guy, and also, yeah, like, this is kind of like what I imagined if say, instead of the blobby monsters from the 3 Doctors, if they were better, well, not better, but if there were different creature designs, if Moffat did, like, creature design, like a 3 Doctors, like, antimatter creature, it'd be a bit more Slender Man, lanky and creepy and weird, and that, like, yeah, you've only got the eyes there and everything else is just black, and that, but he's also got like these pixelated patches and that. So yeah. As for having the first Doctor in the story, I guess that was just a callback and a bit of a reference to obviously the three Doctors, as well as I say, just having it be a nice sort of really cool cliffhanger of in my head for the longest time. Seriously, this is what quite a few years in the making. Like, I had this image of literally a cliffhanger of like the first Doctor being sort of captured, and or spoiler alert if you haven't watched any or the part where the cliffhanger is this, but I'm pretty sure it's part 3, right? Yeah, part 3, because part 4's cliffhanger is spoiler alert, but the Doctor falling to his death. But yeah, part 3's cliffhanger was the Weeping Angels, the 3 Weeping Angels, and then the reveal of the first Doctor, and that just looked so right in my head as like an image, of sort of, for lack of a better term, the original and OG sort of Doctor and or Doctor Who even meeting up with like something that's so like top tier, near the top of like the A-lister baddies of the new series, and that just meshing the two together just seemed so right to me in my head. Almost like how one of my friends quite a few years back now, or what feels like years back, it might have been last year or the year before, so maybe back in like 2017 or 18, my friend Michael once showed me a video of Heaven Sent, but a fan had made it, completely black and white, Heaven Sent, and there are just some things that just are right, it's like that's such a new series, sort of deep dive into the psyche of the character of the Doctor by a massive fan of the show. And so I feel like that would really, Heaven Sent would only be made possible by a superfan like, say, Stephen Moffat, but having the added layer, or the added effect of having the black and white sort of film sort of effect over Heaven Sent just added this extra level slash detail and layer of like sort of, I wouldn't say authenticity, but sort of gothic horror, and it just sat right with me, and it was really interesting, really. And as I say, like, that's how I kind of feel like having the 3 Weeping Angels around William Hartnell's first Doctor kind of feels like, for me anyway. I know for other people watching this might just be like, what the fuck's he on about? He's just playing with his action figures, get over yourself sort of thing, but, but yeah, also I'd be really interested to see what people think about having the new 13th Doctor TARDIS. I know, again, Michael, one of the people I know, he'll be really happy with the fact that I'm using a different box as to the 9th and 10th Doctor TARDIS box, because he hates the interior box, or the interior TARDIS of that one, the coral designed one, but he also, I'm pretty sure, hates the exterior box. But yeah, I mean, I guess for me, more than anything, it's nostalgia for that exterior box. I mean, the exterior box has got a bit less, like, I like it less the older I'm getting, but the interior box, I still really do like the, sort of coral design TARDIS interior, but also the fact that this is just the only TARDIS interior I've got, really. I mean, the only other TARDIS interior playset they've ever really done is the Matt Smith's 11th Doctor one, and I don't have that. And even if I did, I really wouldn't, or even if I wanted to get it, I really don't have any space for it. So yeah, the Time Lord is here, which might be a reference to a really old prequel that I did quite a while back. Which, if you guys have seen that, that's awesome. If you haven't, please go check that out. I think it's called Introducing the War Chief. And that was really fun to do, because I did actually have like a little bit of a script there. What else was I going to say? Oh, I was flicking through and looking at season 14. Season 14 of the classic series on my DVD shelf, because, with it being recently released on Blu-ray, lots of people in the Doctor Who fanbase and our community have been looking at that season quite intensely, or a lot more intensely than they would have done previously. And so for me, I was flicking through there. You've got Mask of Mandragora, Hand of Fear, Deadly Assassin, Face of Evil, and Robots of Death, and Talons of Wang Chiang. Now, I think personally the sort of second half of this series that I'm aiming for is sort of mid season 14, sort of Hand of Fear, Deadly Assassin, sort of Face of Evil sort of vibes, which is good for me because those are three stories that I really do like. I enjoy all three of those. I'd probably say Hand of Fear is probably the episode that I've watched the least, not because I don't like it, just circumstance really, it just is the case. Deadly Assassin of the three is probably the one that I've watched the most, and then Face of Evil, which is kind of weird because I do like Sarah a lot, yeah, maybe that's why I don't really watch Hand of Fear that much, because obviously I know that it's the last story. Deadly Assassin's a cracking story. I got it when I was like, I don't know, 12 or 13 years old, so but what was I going to say? Yeah, as I say, like, this sort of story, and then the next two episodes that we've got left, which, yeah, are, as I say, trying to go for not so much a gothic horror sort of vibe, but definitely a bit more intense vibe, and a bit more sort of, for lack of a better term, pushing the Doctor to his limits, to his breaking point, maybe, you know, and also the fact that, like, yeah, Gwen isn't here at the moment as the companion, and that's kind of quite Hand of Fear-esque, and then maybe we're going into a sort of Deadly Assassin-esque type story. Who knows? Well, I do. But yeah. What was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, I was going to say that really we haven't used too many traditional Doctor Who baddies. First episode we used the Slitheen for this series. Then we used, what did we use next up? We had Weevils last time I checked, from Torchwood. Then we had the Witch episode. Then we had this one, Antimatter, which again is like a Minecraft action figure, a Weevil action figure from Torchwood, a Witch, the Witch was from Shakespeare Code, and then obviously Slitheen from the really old OG sort of first Doctor, Chris Eccleston sort of series 1 sort of figure range, which I got way back when, the nostalgia. But yeah, yeah, so as I say, really we've only used, well, I mean, I guess we've used Weeping Angels, 3 Weeping Angels, a Dalek, Slitheen, and that's about it, which isn't too bad in what is 4 stories. Rebirth, Man, Witch from the Well, Antimatter. Yeah, 4 stories. So in 4 stories we've used 3 traditional Doctor Who baddies, and then used Weevil in Man, and then Witch, and then an antimatter creature, and our Minecraft action figure, as I said before. So yeah, we've not done too bad in terms of like a mixture of, for lack of a better term, new and old baddies, you know. We haven't just got, Sidemen, Daleks, Slitheen, Jadoon, and Sycorax, and so on and so forth. Granted, the Sycorax were in my last series, the finale of my last series, so that's why I didn't want them in this series at all. But yeah, I just thought, at least with the first episode, I thought I'd open it up with a familiar baddie, and something that, you know, for lack of a better term, and I hate saying this word, but I have a lot of nostalgia for, you know, with the Slitheen. I do miss them. Wish they were in the series again. In the latest series, which might happen, seeing as Chibnall seems quite happy / content with the idea of bringing stuff from the Russell T Davies era back. But yeah, I've also been thinking, and please do comment below, please do feel free to comment below this, or the answer to this, but I've been thinking for quite some time, after I've done the next 2 episodes of this series, I've been thinking for quite some time, would you guys be interested in me doing a video in front of the camera talking about this series and that overall? I mean, I could just like binge watch all of the series, and then, as I say, just try and sort of regurgitate what my thought processes were during each episode / part. Well, not so much part, but at least each episode. I just need people to comment below if that would be something that anyone would be interested in, because I'd rather people actually be interested in it, you know, spoiler alert, but than me just waffle on and have only, you know, 3 views on the video. But yeah, before I go, one thing I will say is, and I know Michael was taking the piss out of me about not having what was it? What was he complaining about that one time? Me not having Movie Maker, but that's not. But to be fair, I just need a new laptop. This one that I currently have is on its last legs. I think my mum said that I've had it since I was about 12 years old, and I'm 22 now. So you know, I think it's had its day, as they say, had a good innings as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please do feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe.